Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
We saw Free Guy, and we're going to answer the question, should you? We get Nerdy Nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That is right. The latest comedy from Disney? Free Guy finally hit cinemas after being delayed multiple times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The panorama that's going around, the panini. And we finally saw it. We got up bright and early. I was working last night, so we couldn't catch the Thursday night. We went to the Friday morning showing, and we saw it. And we are going to say that you should watch it, right?
Absolutely.
I think this one is, there's no question here. I think this movie is, we had a great movie last week with the Suicide Squad. We have another great movie this week. I feel like we've been, after a few weeks of us kind of being at best mixed on films. We liked Jungle Cruise, but it wasn't like a runaway hit. This is the first, Suicide Squad and this, we're on a good track here.
Yeah, this is the first movie I've seen in a while where I'm like, I want to watch that again.
You didn't feel that way about the Suicide Squad?
Not really. I probably will watch it again in a while. But I was like, I didn't feel the burning need to go see it again immediately. But this one was just so fun, and it's a much more feel good movie.
Yeah, the optimism is really flowing here.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. It was really, really, really lovely, nice change of pace.
Do you think any element of your desire to see this versus something like Suicide Squad is the fact that this movie is, for the most part, there are references to other things, but this is an original story in an original world? Yeah, kind of. We've talked about this a few times on YouTube, on Twitch. We've said that franchise fatigue is a real thing. Yeah, for some people.
Yeah, I don't need it to have 20 movies of backstory. If you can just make hour 55, which is what Free Guy was, of its own secular thing, I'm here for it. It was nice. It was refreshing. It didn't feel the need to be something bigger than it need. It was just nice. It was what it was, and there was no extraneous stuff. So
we should mention Free Guy is the story of an NPC named Guy, played by Ryan Reynolds, whose world is changed when he meets a player character played by Jodie Comer. Jodie Comer is really good in this movie.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Jodie Comer has to, by virtue of her playing herself in the video game world, she has to do this thing where she's playing a real person who is controlling a video game character.
Yeah. And
she does a lot of fun stuff with that in terms of acting, in terms of physicality, the difference in physicality between her two characters. I don't have the rest of the cast pulled up. Taika Waititi plays our big bad villain as the CEO of Tsunami Games. And I thought it was fun. Taika Waititi was in last week's movie, The Suicide Squad, playing the most heartfelt, heartwarming dad. Arguably the most optimistic part of that movie. Of that much more cynical movie. And then in this movie, he is playing the most cynical part of a quite optimistic movie. And he does both so well, with so much charm. I really, Taika Waititi brought it. Ryan Reynolds, though, is obviously the star of this movie. His version of, it's a Ryan Reynolds character. It's kind of the character that we've come to know. We've gotten used to him playing characters in this way. And I think it was interesting to see him do it here because it was that similar kind of snappy, sarcastic humor, but with that optimism that I think that this movie has a lot of. So I really liked that. I thought this version of that Ryan Reynolds character really worked.
Yeah, there was so much heart in it, and it was just really refreshing. I think. I had a thought, and it went somewhere. This is the first movie that I've seen this summer that I think has something for everybody in it.
Interesting.
Suicide Squad is for a specific group of people, and it's definitely R-rated.
100%. Yeah.
And Snake Eyes was just bad, and Jungle Cruise was kind of.
Jungle Cruise is for everyone.
Jungle Cruise is kind of for everybody, but it didn't have the more adult themes that I think that Free Guy kind of does, but kind of at least has them through a like softer lens. I want to say they're not so dire and dark.
That's true.
But they are there. Jungle Cruise. There were elements of it that were like scary.
Yeah.
But I think concept-wise for kids, it's something that they can easily grasp onto. But there was a lot of like undercurrents in Free Guy, and a lot of social commentary. For sure.
There was a really interesting conversation in this movie about consciousness and what being alive fundamentally means. And it weirdly might be the deepest movie I've watched in a while.
Yeah.
If once you get past the video game and the references and the comic books and all the things that come up in this movie, there's a really, really like ex machina level deep conversation about what is consciousness and at what point is something alive, like genuinely alive.
Yeah.
And that is insane.
Yeah.
It's like so weird that this very funny, very, very funny comedy. I laughed so hard. I cheered. People were clapping at jokes in the audience. There were only like 20 other people in the theater.
Less, I think.
Yeah, because of COVID restrictions in Ontario. There's only we have to sit so far apart from each other.
It was like a daytime.
It was a noon showing, but people were clapping. People were cheering. Like this was a genuine good time. And underneath that was this big question of, at what point are we going to consider an AI alive? And that question is there's no answer in the movie, obviously, because it's such a nebulous thing to think about, but the thoughts are there. And I love that this movie did that. It made a straightforward comedy a little bit less straightforward and gave it some extra layers of depth that I really love digging into and would love to dig into on another viewing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the movie does a great job of not digging into it too hard itself to try and like convince you of a thing. It poses some questions. It poses some big ideas. And it kind of lets you do as you will with it.
And it does that by letting the characters' perspectives on it matter.
Yes.
And having varied perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, not all the characters have the same perspective on consciousness. And in that way, it allows the audience to really dig into their own, like, our own ideas of what it means. Yeah. Which I think is really smart and really worked in the movie's favor.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what I mean about, I think that this movie is for like the most broad general audience that we've seen so far. It is definitely geared toward the nerd community, towards people who play video games, people who are on Twitch and live streaming YouTube and that kind of thing.
If you like Twitch streamers,
there are
some references.
Of those.
I hope they got paid. Make your money.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to spoil it because it's fun when they show up. But
it was
it's
really
the ones
cool.
you probably would assume.
It was really cool what they did, but you don't have to be like a hardcore Twitch viewer or streamer to be able to get a lot out of the movie. It was just kind of like a little extra. Not
at all. I think my mom would love this movie.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I think like my family is definitely a family of nerds, but they would love it. I would take my friends who are not huge nerds to like see this movie, because I think that even though that's kind of the basis and for the premise that they built, it's not solely focused on like nerd culture, and it makes it very easy to understand for everybody. You all know what a video game is, and that's all you need.
I also think they did a really smart thing where the action is really centered in the video game world.
Yeah.
Where, a lot of action comedies or action family movies lately have had a level of action that is, are you okay over there?
Yeah, sorry. My hair was just, tickling the back of my neck, and I had to...
All right. Have had a lot of action where it's unbelievable that humans would be able to go through that. And what's nice about this movie is because the action takes place in this video game world, there's never a question about that. The question of wait, what, how, doesn't come up because there's these incredibly filmed and really well realized action scenes that are so much fun. I think the action in this movie is really good. But because it takes place in the video game world, you buy it 100%. Yeah. And so there's no...
It doesn't need to be realistic. It's not. It's a video game. And they do a phenomenal job, honestly, I think, of, showing the video game world.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's really nice, what if Call of Duty Warzone plus Sims plus Fortnite plus every game you've played it's really all those things. I honestly, I really commend Ryan Reynolds for this one. I know that, he's a big producer behind it, and the whole team. I think the script is fantastic.
Yeah. They're just missing Henry Cavill. I feel like this is like right up his alley.
There are some cameos though.
Yes.
There are some. We won't spoil any of them because they're all worth it.
But they're so good.
I almost stood up out of my chair. I started to, but there's some behind me and I didn't want to fully stand up.
Saw that.
But there's one near the end of the movie where I lost my mind.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
There are some really fun cameos in this movie. There's a lot of people you do not expect to be in this movie from the very beginning. Like the first person you see on screen, you're like, what?
Like, wait a second.
Is that? And that person does such a good job.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You know who I'm. You're very funny.
Yeah.
You're very funny.
He's definitely watching this video.
I hope he is. And if you are, I love you. I think this movie's great. Honestly. Yeah. This is the first original concept I've seen in a while. I think the last original movie we saw that I liked was Love and Monsters, which was like in October of last year.
Yep.
So I love this. I hope this makes all the money because, original movies on this budget and scale should be made.
Yeah, I want to see more of this. This was great.
Yeah.
And there was no weight. There was nothing. Not that there wasn't weight behind it, but there was no expectation, I think. You know what I mean? You go into a Marvel movie and there's an expectation. You go into a DC movie, there's an expectation. With this, it was just nice. There was none of that. Everyone did a fantastic job. Everyone showed up. The premise was funny. The graphics look great. This would be my number one recommend so far.
Yeah.
From the last year or two even.
Yeah, honestly, I think that even more so than the Suicide Squad, I would recommend this purely on the optimism.
Yeah, that it's for everyone. Look,
it's
Suicide
so feel
Squad,
good.
We definitely recommend it for people who, if you're okay with gore and radar and blah blah blah, whatever it is. This one I would recommend to anybody. Yeah,
on a personal level, the Suicide Squad is more my speed.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. The Suicide Squad, I'm going to watch that movie unlike you, I want to watch that movie again right this second. If we had HBO Max in Canada, I would have watched it probably 3 or 4, 5 times by now.
Probably.
I'm too busy to go see it in the theater again, unfortunately, with my new job and whatnot. But I think that this is an easier recommend to other people unless I know that they have my sensibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Suicide Squad is just a little bit more niche, and that's not a bad thing. James Gunn is maybe my favorite director.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Ridley Scott are probably the two, but I think that this movie is just, I could give this to anybody, and I think they would have a good time.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say, from the trailers, I was a 10% worried, because sometimes these kind of things can just feel really corny and miss the mark, but they didn't. I had a blast. I have had a headache since this morning, but I had such a good time despite that, still watching it, and I loved it. I highly recommend, if you are watching this and you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it.
Yeah, that's going to be a big ol' recommend. Should you watch it?
Yes.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
Absolutely should. This is one I would see in theaters too. The action's worth it. The action's big enough to justify it.
Yeah, and go, if you are one of those people as well that's oh gosh, I have to watch these 10 movies before I go see this one, go support this movie. Mm-hmm. Let them know that they're doing a great job and we want to see more of this.
Support original movies.
Yes, please.
That's going to be it for our review of Free Guy. Go see it in theaters. Have a good time, but before you do that, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell, smash it, and come back next time. Or if you don't like us, if you if you hate on Free Guy and you're just hating everybody who is reviewing it well, that was dark. We just watch a whole movie about how people who have consciousness...
That's why
whatever.
It was thematic.
Dislike this video. Please dislike this video. Interact with us. Leave me comments down below. Say that my beard doesn't look good on my face. I can take it.
You're lying.
People have been saying it, though.
That your beard doesn't look good?
Yeah, there was one guy who, I think it was on one of our Snyder Cut videos, where he was he said a couple of things. He was like, oh, and by the way, your beard doesn't even look good. And I was like, what a weird way to end.
All right. Okay.
Until next time, you can follow us over on Twitch. I'm over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
I'm over at twitch.tv/clarusdracarys.
And as always,
don't have a good day.
No.
Have a great day.
Do something nerdy tonight.